So I wanted to do one more of these just because, like, one, the ambient lighting is so cool, and two, this has been something that I think I really wanted to talk about, which I never was gonna actually ever talk about. But for those of you who don't know, my grandmother died my beginning of my senior year. That's like such a crazy intro. That's a crazy intro. But my grandmother died at the beginning of my senior year, okay? And there was also a period in my life where I couldn't cry for a year because I was thinking that society views women as weak, emotional, like all of these things. And I was like, so crying makes you weak, so we're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna cry. So I couldn't really like feel my emotions. I was never feeling my emotions. And then in the instances where I learned to feel my emotions, I felt them so deeply, which I am a deep feeler. Okay. I am a very deep feeler. If it affects me, oh my gosh, I feel that. And I would let my emotions consume me. So when my grandmother passed away, very unexpected, very random, but I was thankfully blessed by God, and I was given the opportunity to tell her I love her before she passed. So she knows that she was surrounded by love because that was the kind of person that she was. She was such a loving soul, and I truly admire her. I admire the way that she lived her life, and I admire the kind of person that she was because my grandmother was the kind of person that would smile at strangers and talk to them and buy you something and like have some like bracelet, some candy, some chocolate, like give you money, like just such a beautiful person. And her passing told me and taught me that I wanted to be more like her, but I lived my life more after her passing in avoidance of my feelings and of my struggle and of what I was going through and of what I was feeling. Grief is so scary because it's like you can feel very consumed in it that you're not really being present in anything else. And I couldn't, my senior year, I couldn't fall into a depression. I couldn't get depressed. I didn't want to be depressed. I hate being sad. I don't want to feel sad. So through her passing, I wanted to be so strong for those around me that like I felt it and I was sad and I would cry in my own room and I would just like pick myself up and I would cry like for like a little bit and then I'd be like, okay, let's get the day going. Was not a feeler of my emotions, and I feel like I spent a lot of my time distracting myself from the things that were going on in my life and not actually dealing with them and facing them at face value. When you are constantly running from the things in your life and the situations in your life, especially something as strong as grief, it's going to catch up to you. Anything is going to catch up to you. Being someone who also wasn't crying for a year because I thought crying made you weak because society already labels women as weak, I didn't want to follow and fall into a stigma and a stereotype, like an idea. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. So from like 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, random emotional breakdowns, it's like I'm crying, and then it's like when I'm sad about things that I'm supposed to be crying about, I can't cry about, and then I'm crying at like just about nothing. I dropped a pencil. Now I'm really frustrated and I'm upset and I'm mad and like I'm really like on the brink of tears, and it's like so much pent up emotion. Like, nobody understands the harm of really like balling so many things in because you're going to explode. And I feel like for a really long time, people have normalized not talking about the things that you're going through and the things that you're struggling with and the feelings that you feel and the emotions that you go through because we don't want to appear as weak or, we don't want to handle it. I talk about a lot about rock bottom, and I talk a lot about like seeing yourself, your emotions, your struggles, and everything that's going on in your life. You don't understand how hard it is to really face that. So many things in my life, like my senior year to when I was 13 to so many things in my life that I just wasn't really dealing with. And I've learned in my life to really deal with my feelings and my emotions in the moment that I feel them because it curates such a beautiful person in that moment. When you fill your life with distractions, you become this hollow shell of just like hatred. Like you start hating yourself. When my grandmother died, I was like just doing just about anything. I really was not processing her grief, and I feel like I fully was able to process the loss of her presence and her absence. I was in bed one night and I was just like talking and I just started crying. And I was like, I miss her. Like I miss the love that her presence brought. I miss the fact, like, I wish that I sat there and cried and mourned that deeper and deeply in the moment. But grief is such a, like, up and down thing that there's no right way to do it and there's no right way to handle it. But when you're grieving and then you're like dealing with school, like, this is supposed to be your senior year. Like, you're supposed to be having a great, fantastic time, beginning of senior year at that. So it's like, I don't want to come to school puffy-eyed, and I don't want to be sad, and I don't want to be depressed, and I don't want to fall back behind in school. And it's like, I don't want to, like, cry all the time. I don't want to do that. So I wasn't doing that. And I was like distracting myself with just other things. I was going out every single day, made sure I just had no time to think. You know, your distractions don't always have to be so, like, people distract themselves in different ways, okay? So I don't know how to really give you a specific example in that, but people distract themselves in different ways. And my distractions were, I'm going out every day, I'm never home, I don't want to be home, I'm making sure I'm out and about, or I'm asleep. Half the time I would be asleep during the day. I'd be asleep, I'd be at the gym, I'd be with my friends, I'd be at a party, I'd be late at parties on the weekend. Like, that's my life. And that was my life for a while. And then I really, really started to hate that. I was like, this sucks. This is the worst, like, experience of my life. Like, I literally am starting to hate this. And I was like, I don't know what I'm really doing. And I'm not really, like, one of those people, like, you know, the whole, like, oh, I just miss my granny thing is, like, a meme now. But it's, like, it's not like, oh, like, I'm doing all of this because I miss her. It's, like, I'm doing all of this to, like, fill a gap in my life because there's, like, this emotion and there's feeling that I feel, but I don't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with my emotions for a really long time because it's like I said, I either feel it very deeply for a really long time and it consumes me to where now I'm in this crippling depression, or I don't feel it at all. I don't know a middle ground. I didn't know a middle ground. What was a middle ground between not being sad and waking up puffy-eyed and just wanting to, like, sleep my life away, to, like, acting like I have no problem in the world and everything is fine. Like, when you are in a space and at a pit of distractions and distracting yourself from the things that are going on in your life, you just keep looking for more distractions until one distraction, you know, you get bored from one thing, so you move to the next thing, you get bored with that, you move to the next, you get bored with that, you move to the next. You're looking for adrenaline and different things, you're looking for a different emotion and a different feeling to distract you from the prior feeling and the prior emotion. A bunch of instability and a mess. You curate a mess for yourself and a mess for your life, that a mess that you can only clean up yourself. The weird thing is when we are in spaces where we are spiraling like this and not really recognizing that we're spiraling, we're looking for someone to save us. The only person that can save you is you. Just like the only person that can feel these things are you. The only person that knows you're struggling is you. I'm not saying like I was just like a train wreck going through it and losing my mind, because I really feel like I tried to balance my life out in the way that I knew how and have a good time. But it got to a point where I was breaking down every single thing that I have. Like, I'm digging myself out of the grave that I dug for myself, you know? I'm 6 feet deep, and then I'm, like, looking up, and I'm like, how do I get out of here? So then I'm trying to, like, bring the dirt down so I can, like, bring myself back up. It's very hard when you're just in a state of distraction. Nobody tells you that. Well, actually, they do tell you. They do tell you, and we just don't listen. But this constant state of distraction only hurts you more than it helps you. You think in the moment that you're okay until you're laying down in your bed and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know why I feel this way, and nothing I'm doing is satisfying me in the way that I want to feel satisfied and gratified and good. I want to feel good, but I don't. Why don't I feel good? What do I need to do to make myself feel good? Nothing. You know, when you're hurting in a way and your distractions are no longer serving you, I think your only choice is to heal. And it's like, you get to a point where it's like, there's nothing else I can do but deal with it. And I've learned to deal with it. And I've learned that dealing with it isn't that bad, which is why I'm such an advocate for just dealing with your feelings. Especially since for a really long time, I was not doing that. 13, I learned, like, okay, it's okay to cry and it's okay to feel. I just actually gotten to the state of mind that crying is such a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing to cry. I feel so relieved. I feel so good. Like, if I feel like I have so much stress built up, I'm like, I just need to cry. Like, I'm gonna cry. Like, I'm gonna start crying, and crying makes me feel good. It's like good to understand that you have feelings. And it's refreshing to know that you are human, and when things affect you, you can feel it. And it's beautiful when you feel it in a way that doesn't consume you. It's very hard to not let your feelings consume you, and you feel like you're in the wrong when they do. From a person that feels things very deeply, when something hurts my feelings, I take it to heart, because it's like, these are my feelings and I care about them. I care about them, and you learn to treasure yourself when you learn to heal from the things that you experience, because it's like, I've grown so far and I build myself up to where I can feel things and experience things and go through things and navigate the struggles in my life and be okay and not let my circumstances tear me down, but I can grow from them. So now when I'm put in positions and I meet people who kind of like trigger my emotions or like play with my feelings in a way that it's like, that's wrong and I don't know why you would do that, I take that very seriously, and I feel things very deeply. I feel either offended, very offended by it. I feel very hurt by whatever the situation is. But I learn to look at a situation and look and ask myself, what is it teaching me? Like, if I just got out of like a talking stage or whatever, I'm like, what did I learn from that? Like, it sucks that it's over and it hurt my feelings, but like, what was the point of that? That is what I ask myself in a lot of situations. What was the point of that? What did I learn from that? And I start to like understand that each situation in my life teaches me something, and each piece of pain is meant to strengthen me. We see the pain and the hurt in our lives as such a negative thing, but it's so empowering. Grief and loss, as hard as it is and as much as it sucks and as hard as losing my grandmother was, and it's really sad because I never really thought about it until I was like laying in my bed, but I was like, she didn't see me turn 18. I didn't get to walk the stage and like see her face. I didn't get to be like, I love you. I didn't get to tell her I love her. I didn't get to tell her. She died right before her birthday. I didn't get to tell her happy birthday. Like, it was so different because it's like, you don't realize it, because when you're distracting yourself from it and you're trying not to like focus on it, because you don't want to dwell on the negative. You don't want to dwell on the loss. You don't want to drive yourself crazy. But when you think about it, you're like, I'm never going to talk to this person again. I'm never going to experience this person again. I'm never going to see this person again. Her life brought me love. Like, I've already experienced the love of being in her life and like that being my grandmother. But my grandmother to me was the embodiment of love. I just have seen such a loving character in her that that's what her death showed me. And that's what I've gained from it. And it's so weird because like, that was a lesson that I had got, but that's not the way that I was living. And it's not the way that I was living because I was living my life in distraction. So I wasn't really like thinking my grandmother. Like, I wasn't trying to think like, oh, it's my 18th birthday. My grandmother's not here to say, call me and tell me happy birthday. Like, I'm not trying to remind myself to make myself sad. And obviously when I talk about her, I get very sentimental, but it's like when you talk about things and you bring it out, I feel like it speaks so much life into the situation, and it speaks so much like it's like she's around. Like, you know, when you talk about the good things about certain things in your life, even when you talk about the bad things, it still allows you to focus on the good memories and the good aspects of certain things. So in my life, I've learned to feel my feelings. And in my life, I've learned that it's okay to feel deeply. That's just who you are, and there's nothing to change that. I feel like I've even prayed like, God, help me care less, help me love less, help me feel less. I hate feeling so deeply. I hate that something can happen and it consumes me. I hate that I don't know how to manage my emotions. But it's like, the best way to maintain and manage your emotions is to allow yourself to feel them. I let myself feel for a couple of days despite the situation and whatever it is. If I want to cry, I'm going to cry. If I want to just like be sad, I'm going to be sad. But I know that the world keeps spinning and you can't wallow and you can't be consumed in the sadness, because it's like you're never going to grow and learn from the experience. Grief brings an experience in you because it helps you learn to cherish life, helps you celebrate life, and helps you appreciate the life of others. And it's like, what can I learn from your life? Your life made an impact on my life. So now it's going to show me how I want to continue to live my life. You don't get to these thought processes and you don't understand these things until you are actually learning from the experience and the situation. You know, when you're in a place of distractions, you're not really thinking about anything, about whatever situation you're in. You are distracting yourself. We look for people to save us. Nobody was coming to save me. Nobody was coming to tell me, India, this is how you fix this, grow from this, learn from this. This is how you navigate through this. One day you wake up and it's just, you feel better. You know, you take it one day at a time, and it's like, it sucks. My heart is so heavy one day. My heart is so heavy the next day. My heart is even heavier the third day. My heart is heavy after a week. And then I feel okay after 2 weeks. 3 weeks, okay, my heart is heavy again. I'm feeling sad. Like, why do I feel sad? And then it's like, I talk about it. I love having a podcast because I will always talk about it. And I even journal. I like talk to people, like my sister, about the things, because it's like, when you run away from your problems, they slap you in the face when you're least expecting it. It's like, my biggest fear met me on my brightest day. And it's like, that's so deep. I heard that somewhere, so I don't know where I heard it, but I heard it somewhere and I stole it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the poeticness. But no, it's like, your greatest day, the sunniest day of your life, brings so much like darkness, rain, sadness. We spend so much time just running away from the things that we feel, that we never give ourselves an opportunity to feel them. And then when we do feel them, we make it seem like our world is collapsing, when it's like, it's only gonna get brighter from here. And I can so promise you that. It doesn't feel like it and it doesn't look like it, but it definitely does. Like, I'm gonna be 19 and I'm really excited to turn 19. And I'm really excited through the things that I've learned at 18 and the mistakes that I made at 18 and the life that I've like I'm excited to go into this new journey at 19 with a positive perspective and like thought process, and the lessons that I've learned from 18, 17, 16, and take that into my life, and to really like face everything head on. That should be the takeaway from this episode. Face everything head on, like always. Excuse me. Don't run away from your emotions. Face them. Conquer them. Get them. Like I promise. But yeah, that was this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you soon. Goodbye.